Hello, welcome to the tutorial on field report and collation. In this video, I'll show you how to run a field report and how you can use it to do preliminary analysis. In the following video, we'll demonstrate how to use this field report to run systematic and error-free collation. So one of the first things that you get for any new implementation project is you'll get a dump of data from the client. These could be the disparate Excel files the client uses to run their business. It could be a dump from a database or any combination of those. The first thing we'll want to do is we want to go into the files and make sure that the data in this file is suitable for data tools input. And the primary concern is we need to make sure that there are no leading, empty, or irrelevant rows. The very first row within the file should be the column headers for the table, and the very first column should be not empty. Go ahead and save that. And you should go through all the remaining files to make sure that they are in that format. So once in that format, you can go over into field report on the data tools, and you can either click on the gray box to select the relevant files, or you can simply drag and drop and upload it into the field report. You can also assign a suffix to the field report name to make it distinct. And once everything has been uploaded, you assign the suffix name, you can hit generate field report. You can see once you hit the run button, you'll get a Slack notification saying that your request is currently running. And once it says finish running, it'll give you the download link. You can either click on this download link or this big green download button in order to get the output file. So this is what a field report looks like. There are three main tabs, primarily focused on the field mapping tab. First column in field mapping called files. So this contains the four files that we uploaded into the field report. And here are each of the columns headers that are in those files. So we can see that these are all the data that's within this file for each of these subsequent files. And then for each of the given columns within that file, this tells us how many rows are populated for that. So we can see that for this one, for the most part, it goes up to 38 rows. Some columns, such as this master column, is empty. And then there are some that are partially filled out, such as this coverage person column, only 9 entries. And then of these entries, how many are unique? We'll come back to the unique and cat entries a little bit. Column H and I, this is just so that you have an additional. Columns H and I indicate whether or not you should dive into the file and take a quick look at the file. Columns H and I are helpful Columns H and I are referenced to help recommend whether or not you should go into the file and actually look at that data. For things that are non-zero and contains new lines, then that means there are entries within this column that contains multiple new lines. And for this example, first name should not contain many new lines. And so it's recommended that you go into the file itself to understand why there are first names that contain multiple new lines. Similarly, for many characters, if you see that there are things like DCID or source file that have a lot of characters, maybe you want to go in there and take a look to understand why that is the case. Column J is dropdown, and it's either true or false. As you can see, if it is true, then it is blue, indicating that it is a hyperlink. And so what this means is due to the ratio or the absolute number of unique entries, what this means is either due to the ratio between unique entries and count, or just the absolute number of unique entries, we suspect that this column could be a column of dropdown. And so the dropdown column is true, and if you click on it, it is a hyperlink over to the dropdown mapping sheet, and it will highlight all of the unique entries for that column. We'll come back to column K in a little bit. So in columns L, M, and N, this indicates the most frequent entries. Columns L, M, and N are example columns. They take the most frequent entries in that column so that you can have an idea of what is the data actually like within that column. In general, top entry 1 is the entry that shows up the most frequently. Top entry 2 shows up second most frequently, so on. If everything is unique within that column, then it's just the order in which it appears. And then the special case is for date time entries. Date time entries, top entry 1 is the most recent entry, and top entry 2 is the second most recent entry. And you'll see that it has been identified as a date time column because it will be in yellow. All right, so let's revisit this concat entries and concat dropdown. So there could be entries where there are multiple entities separated by semicolon, as is the case for this column, CIP coverage. And so when this is the case, we're not just interested in this block of John Loverow and Bart Osmond. We're interested in John Loverow and Bart Osmond. And so the way that we can see all of the distinct entries within this is that we can see that there are 5 total unique entries separated by semicolon. And in order to see what those entries are, we can click on the hyperlink here in concat dropdown. And we'll see that in the actual data, these are all the variations that are in the CIP coverage. But in the link that we just clicked, where partial match equals true, we have each of the entries separated out between the semicolons. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the data. So that is pretty much it for the data analysis. So that's pretty much it for what the field report is going to generate. Columns O through Q are columns for you to help keep notes or do analysis. So you have column O, field type, where you can select a couple different options for the different the general field types there are. You can also type in as much comments as you want. And then you also have the option to say whether or not you think that this is an import column or not. And the recommended way to go about this is based off of your intuition and your analysis after looking at the count, the examples, potentially the drop-down options. You make a decision on whether you think that this is yes to be imported or no, it probably should not be imported into the FieldCloud system. And after you do that, you can go through this with the client to get their feedback on which of these columns are important and should be maintained. And then after that, you can use this import column as a reference as you move on to the collation step. Okay, that's it for this video. Please watch the second video to see how we can use this field report to do a collation.